Smoke covered the Virel capital like a black wave. Their towers burned under green acid fire. The air trembled with screams and broken engines. The Krith swarms were everywhere. Their ships filled the sky, spitting plasma into the ground. The Virel soldiers ran through the ruins, shooting, shouting, dying. Inside the command hall, the Virel council stood before the last working console. Their blue skin was covered in ash. The oldest one, Arvin, slammed his hand on the control. The signal beacon was ready. He looked at the others. "We have no one left," he said. "If there is anyone out there, we call them now." He pressed the button. A bright pulse shot into the sky. The message went out in every known frequency. A cry to the stars, a plea for help from any race that could hear. The Krith hit the city again. The ground shook. Walls fell. The message kept repeating. Then the screen went dark. 3 weeks passed. The Krith moved on, thinking the planet was finished. Only small Virel camps hid underground. Their food was low. Their hope was lower. Then, one night, the scanners came alive. A signal appeared far beyond the orbit line. Faint. Strange. Not Virel. Not Krith. It came in a human tongue. It said, "We received your call. Hold your ground." No one in the shelter understood the words. Their translator broke the signal down. The meaning made everyone freeze. They had been heard. Arven looked up at the cracked ceiling. "Someone answered," he whispered. "The heavens answered." Days later, the sky split open. The Virel climbed to the surface and watched. A fleet dropped out of hyperspace. Not bright silver ships like the old myths. These were dark, heavy, and scarred. Their hulls looked burned from old wars. Their shape was sharp, built for killing. The first human ship entered orbit. Its engines glowed red. Its name burned on the side. EAS Iron Lance. Virel soldiers stared up. Their translator systems picked up human voices over comms. Orders. Cold, fast, military tone. The humans were not coming to talk. They were coming to fight. Captain Ryan Cole stood on the bridge of the Iron Lance. His uniform was marked with black streaks of battle ash. His eyes had no shine, only focus. His crew moved around him, hands on the controls, faces locked in calm tension. "Krith forces are regrouping near the orbital belt," the comms officer said. "We hit them before they get formation," Ryan said. "Deploy gun platforms and prep the rail batteries." Human ships moved like a single machine. Metal opened. Weapon bays glowed. The first shot came from the Iron Lance. A rail slug cut through space and tore a Krith cruiser in half. No warning, no words. The rest followed. Earth guns roared. The sky turned red and white. Krith ships burned and spun apart. Human drop pods fell into the atmosphere, crashing into enemy nests. Every pod carried soldiers in heavy armor. Their suits hissed with oxygen. Their visors flashed red as they hit the ground. Virel troops watched the humans move through fire like they were born in it. The Krith tried to surround them. It did not matter. The humans cut through with cold speed. No shouting, no fear. Just work. In less than an hour, the battle was over. The ground was black and quiet. The only sound was the wind through burning metal. Arvin stood near the human lines, staring at the soldiers cleaning their weapons. He looked at Ryan Cole walking toward him, his face still calm. "You are the ones who answered?" Arvin asked. Ryan looked at the destroyed sky and then at the dying city lights. His voice was quiet, steady. "Next time you beg the heavens," he said, "make sure you're ready for what falls." The war zone was silent after the firestorm. Black smoke rose over the dead fields. The air was thick with ash and burned metal. Human soldiers moved between wrecks, scanning for any Krith left alive. None were. Captain Ryan Cole stood near a crater where a Virel city once stood. The ground still burned in places. He stared at the ruins, his face hard and still. His second-in-command, Hale, came beside him, holding a datapad. Reports from all fronts, Hale said. Krith forces destroyed. Virel casualties high. Infrastructure is gone. Ryan nodded. Good. Clear the rest of the orbit and set up command stations. He turned to look at the Virel soldiers gathered nearby. They were silent, their eyes wide. They had expected saviors. What they saw were human machines, covered in dust and blood, moving without hesitation. A Virel officer stepped forward, shaking. You saved us. But why are your ships so damaged? Were you at war before this? Ryan didn't answer. Hale looked at the Virel and said quietly, Earth is always at war. The humans began building forward bases on the planet's surface. Drones cut through wreckage. Dropships landed with supplies. Soldiers set up heavy cannons along the ridges. They didn't rest. They didn't celebrate. They only worked. Inside the Iron Lance, the air smelled of oil and iron. The corridors hummed with power. Engineers shouted orders. The medbay was full of wounded, but no one cried or complained. They were used to this. Pain was normal. Ryan walked through the ship's bridge. The crew saluted him as he passed. His eyes went to the main screen. The Krith fleets were reforming far out in the system, millions of them. He gave the order. Ready for Phase 2. Operation Iron Rain. The ship came alive. The human fleet spread out, forming attack lines. Every ship armed its orbital guns. The soldiers in drop pods ran final checks on weapons and armor. The mission was simple. Hit the Krith before they reached the Virel world again. As the fleet prepared, Hale stepped closer. We're still low on supplies, Captain. Earth Command says we take what we can from this system. The Virel technology might help us rebuild. Ryan didn't look away from the screen. We came to win. We'll take what we need. A quiet voice spoke behind them. It was the Virel ambassador, Lauren. She had been brought aboard for translation and contact. She looked pale under the white light. You came to save us, she said. Not to take from us. Ryan turned his head slightly. We came because your cry reached us. Saving you was the mission. Survival is the cost. Lauren's eyes filled with anger. You speak like the Krith. Ryan said nothing. The alarms sounded. The next Krith wave had entered sensor range. Launch Iron Rain, Ryan ordered. Thousands of pods fired from the fleet, entering the atmosphere like falling meteors. The Krith fleet opened fire, but the humans moved through it, breaking formation and hitting the enemy from all sides. Explosions filled the sky. The Iron Lance fired a rail slug that shattered the lead hive ship in a single hit. Hale's voice came through comms. Pods are landing. Ground forces in contact. Ryan watched the feed. The humans hit the surface hard, smashing through the enemy nests. Their armor burned. Their weapons hissed steam, and they fought in silence. Lauren watched from behind him. Her voice was soft but shaking. You fight like you hate everything you see. Ryan didn't answer. He watched another Krith ship explode, taking hundreds of lives with it. We fight to end what others start, he said. Outside, the sky turned red again. The Virel cities shook under the shock waves. The Krith fleet broke apart, but a single ship escaped, firing into deep space. Lauren looked at the radar. That ship is transmitting, she said. Ryan's face darkened. To who? The signal spread faster than light. Across the galaxy, countless screens lit up with human war footage. The galaxy had just seen Earth's monsters. Across the galaxy, silence followed the transmission. Billions watched the same footage. Human soldiers moving through fire, killing the Krith without fear or pause. Whole fleets burned under Earth guns. To some, it looked like salvation. To others, it looked like the end of everything. On the Virel homeworld, the Council gathered in fear. Their cities were safe for now, but the humans had taken control of every defense grid. Human war banners hung beside Virel symbols. No one knew if they were allies or occupiers. Captain Ryan Cole stood on the Iron Lance bridge, watching data streams from every front. His fleet had spread across the system. Krith fleets were in full retreat. The mission was working, but something darker followed behind every victory. Hale stepped beside him. "The Galactic Union has spoken," he said. "They've seen the footage. They call us Category Black. They think we're too dangerous to exist." Ryan didn't move. His voice stayed flat. "Let them think." "They're sending observers," Hale said, "and maybe more than that." Ryan turned slowly toward him. "If they come between us and the Krith, they'll see what dangerous really means." On the ground, the Virel tried to rebuild. Human engineers forced their way into every command center, rewiring systems, building stronger defenses. The Viral soldiers obeyed, but whispered among themselves. Some called the humans saviors, others called them monsters. Lauren, the ambassador, watched the humans work through the night. She remembered Ryan's words about survival. They made sense, but they carried no mercy. She sent a secret message to the Galactic Union, attaching every file she could gather on human operations. Days later, the Union fleet arrived. Thousands of white ships filled the edge of the system. Their commander demanded contact with the Iron Lance. Ryan met them through a holochannel. His image stood across from a tall alien general with silver eyes. "Captain Ryan Cole of Earth," the alien said, "your actions exceed all acceptable war conduct. You've destroyed 3 worlds. You use forbidden weapons. You are to stand down immediately." Ryan didn't blink. "We finished the Krith first." "You've done enough damage," the alien said. "You brought your war into Union space. You will leave or be removed." Ryan's jaw tightened. "You weren't there when the Krith took New Moscow. You didn't see them eat children alive. We stopped them our way, or they come for you next." The channel cut off. The Union ships moved closer. Hale watched from the side. "They'll attack if we make one wrong move," Ryan said. "Then we make the first move." Before the Union could react, sensors flared. A massive Krith swarm appeared behind their lines. The Union fleet broke formation, firing in panic. The humans didn't hesitate. They charged straight into the fight. The system became a storm of fire. Union ships tried to retreat while human warships dove through the Krith formation, clearing paths with heavy rail fire. The Iron Lance took direct hits but stayed in the fight. Ryan's voice carried through every open channel, steady and cold. "We hold this line. No one runs." Hale's ship was hit by a swarm of plasma mines. It spun out of control. Hale's voice came through static. "Captain, reactor breach. I'm not making it out." Ryan gripped the console. "Don't you do this." "Tell them we did our job," Hale said. Then his ship exploded, lighting the whole sky. The shockwave hit the Iron Lance hard. Alarms screamed. Fire rolled through the bridge. Ryan didn't move. His face stayed fixed on the burning wreck. The Krith fleet broke apart under combined fire, but half the system was gone. Union survivors drifted in silence. The humans held the field again, but at a cost that left nothing to celebrate. Lauren watched from the planet's surface as the sky turned black. She whispered, "We called for help. Now we call for mercy." On the Iron Lance, Ryan's eyes were cold. "We finish it," he said. "No matter who stands in the way." Outside the window, new Union ships jumped into the system. Their guns were already charging. The system was burning again. 2 fleets faced each other across the shattered sky. The Galactic Union came in numbers beyond counting. Their ships bright and polished, forming perfect lines. The human fleet looked small in comparison, black and scarred, built for killing, not for show. On the Iron Lance, Captain Ryan Cole stood in silence. The loss of Hale still weighed on him, but there was no time to mourn. His officers waited for orders. The ship's lights flickered under strain. The engines hummed like a heartbeat before war. "The Union demands surrender," the comms officer said. "They say you are under arrest." Ryan looked at the message. "They never saw the Krith up close," he said. "They think this is politics. This is survival." He turned to the helm. Bring the Erebus online. The crew hesitated. The Erebus was still a prototype, the largest dreadnought Earth had ever built. It was not finished when they left the Sol system. It was a weapon meant for ending wars, not surviving them. "Sir," the officer said, "if we use the Erebus, the blast could hit the Virel planet." Ryan's voice stayed calm. "If we fall, the Krith return. Then there will be no planet left." Below, the Virel watched the sky turn red again. Union ships moved into position. Lauren stood in the Capitol Square surrounded by soldiers. She tried to contact Ryan, but the signal was blocked. She could see the flashes from orbit. The heavens were ready to explode again. Inside the Iron Lance, alarms started to scream. Union fighters broke formation and moved in. Plasma beams cut through the void. The first human destroyer went up in fire. The Iron Lance fired back, punching holes through the Union line. Both sides filled space with wreckage and dead metal. "Erebus reactor at 70%, the engineer shouted. "Hold the line," Ryan ordered. "Buy me 2 more minutes." Every ship in his fleet obeyed. They didn't question. They fought knowing they wouldn't make it back. The bridge trembled as another explosion hit nearby. Ryan gripped the rail, watching the Union advance. His voice stayed steady. "Open channel to all human ships." The comm light turned green. His voice filled every cockpit and corridor. "You know what we are. You know what they call us. Monsters. Maybe they're right, but monsters win wars. We hold until Erebus fires. Earth watches through us. Don't break." The humans fought harder. Every gun fired until barrels melted. Fighters rammed enemy ships when their ammo ran out. The Iron Lance lost half its hull, but it stayed moving. On the planet, Lauren watched fire rain from the sky. The Virel people screamed and ran for cover. Her comm device suddenly crackled to life. Ryan's voice came through, faint and broken. "Lauren, get them underground. It's going to end now." She froze. "What are you doing?" "Ending it," he said. In orbit, the Erebus came alive. Its reactor core lit the dark like a second sun. Energy built inside until the hull glowed white. Union ships turned their guns toward it, but it was too late. Ryan gave the final order. "Fire!" The beam tore through the Krith world first, breaking it apart. The explosion spread into the Union fleet. The shockwave consumed everything. Half the system turned into dust and fire. On the Iron Lance, systems failed one by one. The crew sat in silence as the lights went out. When the blast cleared, the Krith were gone. The Union fleet was shattered. The Virel planet barely held orbit. Ryan stood on the dark bridge covered in smoke and blood. His voice was quiet. "It's done," the comms officer whispered. "They'll call you a criminal." Ryan looked out at the ruins. Then let them remember why they needed one. Moments later, the Erebus reactor overloaded. The Iron Lance vanished into the storm. Earth denied all contact with him. But far from the wreckage, deep in the radiation field, one signal kept pulsing. Ryan's command code, still alive. The wreck of the human dreadnought hung in orbit, broken but alive. Fires burned across its hull. Inside, air hissed through torn metal, and warning lights painted the corridors in red. Ryan was gone, but his last order still moved through the system like a ghost. The message had been sent. On the surface below, the alien capital burned. Black smoke reached into the clouds. Human drop pods fell like iron rain. The galactic fleet had hit Earth months ago, but now Earth had hit back. Every soldier that walked out of those pods had fire in their eyes. They fought without pause, without mercy. Corporal Hayes kicked through rubble, shouting over the static in his comm. He had lost half his squad in the landing, but he kept moving. The air smelled of ozone and dust. The sky glowed orange from the burning cities. A plasma bolt hit close, throwing him to the ground. He got up, shaking, his armor cracked. He yelled for backup. In orbit, command channels filled with noise. Human ships that were supposed to be dead came online. Automated systems, locked by Ryan's code, were waking. Orbital cannons turned and fired again. The aliens were not ready. They screamed across the comm lines, but no help came. Ryan's ghost fleet was alive. Back on the ground, Hayes saw a massive shadow move through the smoke. It was one of the alien war machines, tall and sharp like a tower. Its steps shook the street. Hayes called in coordinates, his voice raw. A human gunship roared overhead and fired a rail round that cut the machine in half. The explosion shook the ground. Hayes smiled, blood on his face. Across the field, the aliens tried to regroup. Their commander shouted for retreat, but the humans pressed harder. They had no home left to defend, only each other. The sound of their rifles was steady and cold. The air was filled with the noise of engines, fire, and death. Then a new signal cut through everything. It came from deep orbit. It was Ryan's voice, or what was left of it. The systems had rebuilt his last transmission into an active command. Every human unit heard it. The voice said one thing: finish it. Hayes froze for a second. The voice was calm, without fear. He looked around at the men beside him. They nodded. No one said a word. They charged. Hours later, the alien capital fell silent. Human flags stood on broken towers. The sky was black with smoke and debris. Hayes sat against a wall, his armor burned and dented. He looked up at the wrecked sky and thought about Ryan, the man who had died to make this moment real. But above, something else moved. A cluster of lights, not human, not alien. The sensors on the wrecked dreadnought picked them up first. The transmission was weak but clear. Unknown origin, unknown intent. Hayes watched as the lights grew brighter, cutting through the clouds. The comm lines went silent. He felt a chill. Whatever it was not part of the war they had just won. He stood, raised his rifle, and called for the remaining troops to regroup. The sky opened wider and the lights descended. They were not ships built by any race he knew. The humans had won their war, but the heavens had heard them fight. And now something had answered.